I can just put this on fucking jump.
Are we live?
Yep. Beep, 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 beep. Yo, have you tried any of their stuff on yet? Have you tried any of this? Fucking. Have you tried any of this shit on yet, JR? James?
Is that Gym Reapers?
Yeah. Hold on, I got a little. Not to make you guys uncomfortable.
I don't have any to try on.
They didn't. Oh well, I guess you don't have a contract with them yet, do you?
Yeah, you trying to make me jealous? It's working.
Well, probably, not to make you jealous, but Justin, if you're listening, I definitely got a bigger contract than you, which is crazy. 47th fittest guy on earth. 1 year in the open, $100,000 contract. Let's dude. Okay, there we go. Sorry, we're just figuring this out, how to do this tandem together, how to do that. You're in the crash pad, the maxi pad. Oh, dude, you know what's crazy? Okay, I can't tell this story live. Do you remember what I'm talking about? When I showed you my balls in the sauna?
Oh, yeah.
It's crazy. Anyways, clench this jaw. Okay, so Taylor, do you and Bryson sleep? What's up, Kipping? What's up, Grant? Grant. Everyone I've known in my life named Grant has been one of the biggest gay wads ever, except for Grant Griffin. So I've never met this Grant. I'm not even sure what his last name is. Jeremy wants to see our hands at all times so that he can imagine them stroking whatever he's got. JR sat on the back of Taylor's hat. What does that mean?
Is JR sat on the back of Taylor's hat? Like he's saying, is JR sitting on the back of your hat? Because
it's red. Why earlier today? How do you pronounce that name?
Don't try.
JR. Say it. Okay. Morning. What a nice surprise. Morning, Judy. Good morning. We say that to my dog, Cora, when she's like getting in bed and it's like 7 p.m. We go, good morning, Weens. Good morning, Cora. Just to wake her up so she doesn't go to bed too early. So what are we going to be talking about today? JR said he wanted to talk about women and men, in fact, and if they're even the same.
Yeah, something like that. Probably not really exact, but something like that.
Well, let's do a little research here. First off, and then we're going to go, are men and women the... How you been, dude?
I'm good.
Why don't you elaborate a little bit?
No, that's good.
What do you mean? Okay, so I asked Google, are men and women the same? And AI says, well, men and women share the same fundamental humanity. There are significant biological and physiological differences between them. That's crazy.
That's pretty surprising that Google.
I know, it's kind of honestly crazy that Google would even acknowledge that, and that men have winkies and women have
meat wallets.
What? What? Dude, JR, put your head on straight. Come on, man. It's a great day. Did you work out yet today?
I did actually. Yeah, I just did the class.
What'd you hit?
5 sets, 1 set every 6 minutes. 10 bench press, 20 cal ski, 30 GHD.
Bench press, ski, GHD. How do you spell Leah Thomas's name?
I think just LEA.
This isn't going down a good road already.
Hey, dude. I just am. No, that's not Leon. That might be. That might be him. Okay, anyways, all right, I'll get out of here. I'll stop goofing around. So initially, people were begging us to do a review of the TFX workouts. And to be completely honest, we have athletes competing at TFX. And so I don't want to talk about the programming. And also, Bryson has a coveted enhanced press access credential. And I don't want to fuck that up because we're doing it behind the scenes. So after the weekend, and that's not even to say that our review would fuck that up. I just don't want to take any risks. I'm playing it safe. And look, I'm paid for now. I'm a Gym Reaper athlete. I'm not going to say any bad words. I'm not going to judge anybody on their lack of expertise, programming, this or that. Too many squats, not enough squats, whatever. I'm a changed man, okay? I'm a sponsored athlete, all right? See these bad boys? Got to get paid. So anyways, we're not going to be reviewing TFX this week or next. We're going to wait till after TFX probably to review that. We could go through, I mean, everybody, I guess, is beaten to death the online and affiliate semifinals. We could go through and troll some videos, but Hiller's already doing that. But on a serious note, actually, this stuff is really fucking nice. I really like their stuff. I have some joggers. Their shorts, like, let me just, I mean, these bad boys are, don't look here, but like, you know, there.
Was it a 5-inch inseam? Is that a 5-incher? That's pretty.
I don't know. I asked for 7s, but maybe it's just because these are mediums and I should have gotten larges. I'm trying not to show my print. But what do you think? These jaunts are nice. Anyways, when I wear them in class and I don't wear underwear because my underwear go a little longer than the short, I get a little worried to do like a lunge stretch or a squat. I guess I don't have to worry that much because my junk's not that big that it's just going to flop out or anything. But sometimes I feel like I should be doing like the Patrick Ewing, like taping it to a leg if I'm going to go risky enough to not wear undies with these bad boys.
You don't like when your underwear goes longer than your shorts?
Dude, I think that looks so dumb.
I don't think it. I mean, I would rather wear underwear than no underwear. I don't really care if it goes longer than my
I
shorts.
like no underwear in a lot of things unless I'm like, if I'm just doing cardio, no underwear is fine. Like I just did a workout in just my sweats, no undies.
I can't do that.
I always wear jeans with no undies. That would, you know, make a lot of people uncomfortable.
I don't wear underwear when I'm not working out, but when I'm working out, I have to wear underwear.
If I'm doing a Metcon or lifting, I wear undies. If I'm doing like just machine work, I can, or running, I can go no undies. JR?
I think what Bryson's talking about is like compression tights. I don't mind if those show underneath shorts, but I'm not like, if I'm wearing like boxer briefs or something, I'm not.
Right.
I don't want those showing.
I don't own any boxer. I don't own anything besides compressions.
I cannot do liners. I cannot do built-in underwear.
Me neither. These don't have the built-in liner, but because like I don't like wearing compressions unless I'm working out, because I just feel like they hold all that essence in too much, and I like to breathe and be a little freer. And these bad boys let it breathe, let me tell you. So I would typically, I have these bamboo cool boxer briefs. Me and Lizzie are going to start, you know, sorry, I shouldn't do that. Me and Lizzie are going to start, you know, in a little while, we're going to be aiming to have a kid. And she says synthetic briefs, you know, might fuck that up. So we've been wearing like I've been wearing the bamboo stuff, and I don't like when that shows. So I just go no undies. But I think they're sending me some larges or maybe the 7s. And the joggers are sick too. Anyways, okay.
Well, this is I've never heard anyone say anything positive about liners in shorts.
Yeah, never.
But every good expensive pair of shorts has liners in them.
Well, I will amend that and say this: the Born Primitive shorts with the compression liners, I fuck with those.
Compression liners can be good, but like just the straight up like swimsuit liner, almost thing.
But
I don't get it.
But the Born Primitive compression liners are long enough to where it's actually like you're wearing compression shorts. Anyways, the Jim Reaper stuff is really sick. I think at some point they're going to be releasing their men's apparel on Amazon. The coolest thing about it is you can buy the shit on Amazon. But okay.
Should we scale for women?
Should we scale for women? Well, here's the thing. The sad reality is, it's not even sad. Just the literal reality is that, and I'm not a misogynist, but men are fitter than women. Like Matt Fraser, there's no human being on earth, human being, woman especially, that could beat him in any, you know, whatever, any balanced test of fitness at the same weights, same distances, same volume, reps,
which is how you test for someone's fitness. If you have to scale the weights for women, then you're not doing the same test.
Right. So now that's not to say I don't think there shouldn't be a distinction. Like it should be fittest woman on earth, fittest man on earth. But I think inherently the fittest man on earth is the fittest person on earth.
Yeah. I think the game should just be the 40 fittest people on earth.
You're full of shit.
I'm not.
You're so full of shit.
Everyone does the same exact test to get there, and if a woman can get in, she can get in.
What about the WNBA, bro?
Yeah, it should be destroyed. I mean, it shouldn't be a thing.
I disagree. I
All one league.
I like watching the women's competition. Watching Tia dominate is cool. I think the only place for complete, I would guess, adherence to the same standards across divisions and genders and whatever is like the military, or firefighters or police. When lives are on the line, no exceptions, no weight adjustments, no rep adjustments, etc. Who gives a fuck? But I think in sport, it's definitely cool to distinguish between men and women. Should they just change the title?
It should just be the fittest person on earth.
This year's fittest person on earth, Matt Frazier, and fittest woman on earth. Call the men the fittest person on earth and the women the fittest women on earth. Wow,
They could separate it like how like the age groups are like a separate CrossFit game.
JR, what do you think?
I think you guys are doing a magnificent trolling job for people that get triggered.
Oh.
No, honestly, I think no, in all seriousness, I think me and Bryson kind of touched on this a little bit a couple weeks ago, where a lot of times competitions, especially, not just like affiliate programming, but they're programmed in a way where you could say, hey, on the men's side, the best gymnast is going to qualify, or maybe the stronger athletes are going to have a little bit of a bias, but you can't always say the same thing on the women's side. So what we're talking about basically is when you're writing workouts, whether you're writing them for affiliate or you're writing them especially for competitions, number one, to establish, because some programmers don't care, should the test feel the same for both? So if you program a workout and you want it to be limited by the weightlifting movement, should that be the same across both sexes? Or is it okay that for the women, it's going to be dependent on the gymnastics movement, and for the men, it's going to be dependent on the weightlifting movement? I personally think that it's crazy. I think if you're administering the same tests and you're using the same workouts and you're not using completely different workouts, then the stimulus should be very similar. There might be some small nuances, but I mean, looking at the affiliate programming this year, I mean, I think that could be said in the opposite direction. I mean, we've had Grace since the beginning of CrossFit at 135.95, but that interval workout had 85. So we can talk about weightlifting, because I think percentage-wise, we should be at like 75% almost every weightlifting movement and not 70 anymore. And I think there's some circumstances where 70% is still fine, and there may be occasional circumstances where over 75% for the women is appropriate. So I just think that kind of conversation is good to have, because when people are programming things like rope climbs, we talked about legless rope climbs with Bryson when we went over some programming. People talk about wall balls as a hot topic a lot. Should it be ball and height? Should it be one or the other? Things like that. Calories, all that kind of stuff.
This is a crazy. I have an example of a workout I wrote for 60 recently that I want to give you and my take, but this is such an interesting tape. Heidi goes, I think women should have a completely different test altogether. Now, this is not factually correct. Women are actually not a different species, but Heidi says your women are a different species, not a less version of men. Women are a different gender of the same species. And you're right, they're not a less version of men. But that's an interesting, that would kind of be crazy, dude, if women had just a completely different games altogether. I think that would be kind of cool. I don't know how you would even go about introducing something like that, but that kind of that's interesting. And I kind of like that thread because women are different, and so maybe something should be different. To your point, JR, making workouts the same stimulus for men and women. There's a workout that's coming up for 60, maybe next week or the week after, that is rowing and strict ring dips. And I have the same, to make the stimulus as close as possible for men and women, and knowing that most on the 60 tracker, general female athletes, are far less competent in upper body weight strict pressing or strict pulling, and knowing that I want females to develop, especially on our program, that upper body pressing and pulling capacity. It's like, it's fundamental to anything above that. I left the strict dips the same, and instead I cut the row calories in half. So the workout was 42, maybe it was opposite. It was 9 strict ring dips, 18 cal row, 15 strict dips, 30 cal row, 21 strict dips, 42 cal row for men. And for the women, I just had to go 9, 9, 15, 15, 21, 21. Because I don't want them to get less ring dips, but I also don't want them to sit there for like 10 minutes longer because they're rowing almost, whatever, the same time as men. And I did something similar in the Charlotte Classic where we had a bench press row workout and I had the row calories cut in half, and people were like, why are women rowing half the cals? But I think it's to what you said. It's so that you reach as close to the same stimulus as possible, or you get the desired result. And I think we could see that. I think if programmers cared less about making everything seem equitable and instead saying, hey, here's why this change is different. There's anatomical differences. There's physiological differences. And this is the stimulus we're trying to achieve. I think, all athletes would probably be fitter for it.
I would say that.
You
go, JR.
No, you go. You haven't said anything. Go.
I was just going to say, I feel like I'm not saying there's not a place for that, for things like the Charlotte Classic workout or the 60 workout, but I feel like if you're making one thing like the row way easier because the strict ring dips are just inherently harder, or the bench press and cutting the row in half, just because you're ending them up finishing at the same time doesn't necessarily mean it's the same stimulus.
Right, but I think there's no way you're going to get a strict ring dip row workout to feel the same for a woman as it feels for a man, because men are so much better generally at upper body pressing and they can go so much faster. So what in that scenario, what's better off? Giving the women half as many ring dips so they end up at the same time and the same amount of time on the rower, or giving the women the same amount of ring dips so that they become stronger upper body pressers and eventually maybe down the line can reach a similar stimulus in that workout.
That's what I'm saying. Like, there is a place for it. And I don't think that in either the Charlotte Classic or the 60 workout, that I'm not disagreeing with the way you wrote it. I'm just saying it's not the same stimulus, but sometimes that's okay depending on what you're trying to do and what the goal is. And I think that's what me and JR talked about. Specifically, we talked a lot about the legless rope climb. And if it's always, do you just go less reps because that's what you always do, or do the women climb to 12 feet was what JR said. Stuff like that.
Yeah, it's like the scenario, Taylor, that you just proposed. I would say for training, that's great. Me personally, if that were a competition workout, it would be one of the rare situations where I would go less cals and less strict. Just if like the time cap was 7 minutes. And I'm like, hey, how many sets is it going to take the dudes to do it? How long is the row going to take? But for women, but for training, I think it's completely different. I think what you did is fine. This is one that I kind of wanted to talk about too, because we have these rules for certain movements and not for others. So we do legless rope climbs. Typically, we do less reps and we all climb to the same height, whether it's like at a regionals rig where it's about 14 feet, whether it's a true 15 feet, whether it's at the games and it's like 18 to 20 feet. But for a strict handstand push-up, we never adjust the reps. We always adjust the deficit. So why do we do that? So why are we going to the same height for one movement, but for this other thing that's a gymnastic strength movement, why are they not going to a 9-inch deficit but just doing half the reps? Why do you think we do that?
I think women, generally speaking, have less range of motion on a strict handstand push-up in general across the field. So maybe that's why they see it as a range of motion difference rather than a kind of like the wall ball. They don't scale the wall ball reps, they scale the height, and they think that women already have less range of motion to cover, less distance to cover on a strict handstand push, so they leave the reps the same. I don't know. That would be my guess, or they just don't think about it.
I mean, they is like me, they is us included. Like I do that. Like I did strict deficit for you guys was 9 inches, and for the females it was 5. But I just left the rep scheme the same. Like I think if I would have done a 9-inch deficit but cut the reps in half at Crucible, it would have been terrible. I think most of the women couldn't have done one.
To be honest here, Dustin Weber, is Jason Hopper the fittest woman on earth? To be completely honest, I don't think there's a man alive other than Matt Fraser and potentially Rich Froning and now Jeff Adler even that would beat Tia at the games at the women's weights? Don't look at me like that, you fucking pussy.
You don't think there's a man alive that would beat Tia at the game?
Other than Matt, Rich, Jeff Adler. Yeah, I don't think Jason beats Tia. He can't beat her in any running workout. He can't beat her in any swimming workout. He probably can't beat her in any legless or muscle up workout.
But over half the workouts have weighted implements.
Okay, but they shouldn't. Weightlifting is after metabolic conditioning and gymnastic movements, and Tia beats him at all of those.
But I don't think she beats him enough in running for a workout like Nancy for her to still beat him.
Oh, dude, I don't know.
He's so much better.
I think Tia could beat Jason at 95 Nancy.
No.
Yes, dude.
No.
Yes.
No.
100%.
That's stupid.
Get fucked.
That's so stupid.
Let me know in the comments. 100% Tia, 5 rounds at just 95.
There's people, most guys who are like on the bubble of ever making a semifinal could beat Tia and Nancy.
No.
At her weight.
At 65, no, at 65, no men.
That's true. Maybe just because it's not different enough. But at 95,
still no.
If she had to use the guy's weight, 100%.
Shot.
Yeah.
Tia, dude, we've got to I hope somebody at Proven is listening to this. Get us a fucking video of her doing 95 Nancy, and I guarantee you there's not fucking 5 guys that beat her. Full out, full ding dong. Get out of town, dude. You're wrong.
That's one of the worst opinions you've ever had.
I think 10 relapse. Shut up.
All right, so in gymnastics.
Only 922, and that's shut up, you anti-Semite. Travis, you fucking piece of shit. Fuck you, bro.
For dynamic gymnastics, so not strict, so not legless rope climbs, not strict ring dips, not strict handstand push-ups. Do you think it's appropriate, and when would you adjust ring muscle up volume for women in a competition, or would you ever?
If the total volume is over 30 reps or the chunks are 10 or greater, I would adjust. Maybe 12 or greater. I think if it's like maybe over 36 or more, or 12 or greater in a one chunk. So if it's 12 at a time, I would say maybe I'd go 12-10 or 12-9. If it's over 36 reps and that's like 40 reps in a workout, then maybe it would be like their total volume should be 36 or 35 to the men's 40, I think.
Okay. So muscle up biathlon, if that were to get reprogrammed, do you think it should be still 18, 15, 12 for females, 21, 18, 15 for males? Or do you think it still holds up at 18, 15, 12, and then the women should be lessened?
I think it should be 21, 18, 15 for men, and 18, 15, and maybe, 18, 15, 12 for women, I think is probably.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
So if you're doing a workout with, like, let's say you're doing a workout with 50 ring muscle ups, but it's rounds of 5 deadlift, 5 muscle up, you think it should just be the same?
No, I think that if the total volume's over 36, I think it should be like, whatever. Maybe it's 5 deadlift, 3 muscle ups for women, just because I like the look of that better than 5 and 4. I still think at a point in a workout like that, a lot of women will hit failure trying to go as fast as possible.
Do you think bar muscle up should ever be changed? Same rule or less of a rule when it's bar? Less
of a rule, or the margin is a lot closer.
Yeah,
still hold up. You're retarded. You are fucking retarded, Jeremy. 18, 15, 12 for men doesn't hold up, you geriatric doofus. Sorry. Maybe I'm not even going to say it.
Everyone would do that. I'm broken now.
Dude, everyone. Shut up.
Yeah, I think, just to give Jeremy a little bit of like help. I think
No. He doesn't need help.
Wait a minute. Depending on how hard you ran the 400s, maybe some guys can't do the 15, but I think a lot more dudes do it for sure.
No one breaks it, dude. You didn't have to give him that reparation. You didn't have to do that for Jeremy. You asshole for saying that. Jesus. Fuck, what the fuck is this, dude? Jesus, man.
All right. I got a question for you guys. So 2020 games for 2007 reload. The weights were perfect. Everyone thought they were too light. Do you think jeez.
Okay, go. 2007 reload. You're talking about the overhead.
If you were programming that workout, would you have adjusted the bar muscle ups and made the weight heavier, or would you have done it the same way? I know it's hard to say that in hindsight because you saw how it played out.
I would have done it the same way for the simple fact that on the theoretical hierarchy of an athlete or fitness, gymnastic movement comes before or is fundamental to weightlifting. So I think for women, testing the bar muscle up at the same volume is probably better than giving them a subjective, it's not entirely subjective, but that 70% of the male load is kind of like not entirely arbitrary, but there is some sort of like, hey, why?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'll say this. Let me address this now. Okay. So I think they did it right there. What do you think? Do you think they should have done the loads instead of the reps?
No, I think it's hard to argue based on how it played out. It was like literally perfect. But I do think it's interesting of what you said of the hierarchy, because the women still did the 1K. And I would be a lot more likely, especially if they were going in one heat, to like if they were just going in one heat. Let's say they had the 5 men and the 5 women going at the same time. I would have been way more inclined to do like a 900-meter row for the women, just to make it more of a race for them to spend about the same amount of time. That's a whole nother conversation, but I think when it's distance on a machine, you don't have to worry about that as much as when it's calories. Like if we do distance and I'm doing machine work with Lindsay, I'm way better at machines than Lindsay. Way better. But if we do 250, 200 as the scale, she'll get off at the same time as me on everything, which is ridiculous. So if we did if we did a 1K and an 800-meter on the rower, she would get off at the same time, and that's crazy. So I think at minimum these days it should be like 200, 175 or 180, 250, 225. Like I think the machine work, especially when we're doing meters, gets completely skewed to the women.
Yeah. I misheard the question you didn't face ad hat. Well, maybe you turn your fucking ears on, Jeremy, and don't mishear any more questions. TK, is your knee the reason you're done trying to make it to the games? Yes, I just am not able to squat at the volume that it's required to compete. So most of my squatting is either to a box, or I do like a lot of box jump overs. I lunge a lot, do a lot of sled pushes and stuff. And I'm actually using BPC, Sarah Cox, so her peptides and stuff. I just started that a couple weeks ago after the fucking open. Since I'm not competing, I just want to see if that helps a lot. Because it'd be cool if I could just squat kind of without having to worry about it again. So who knows? I'm excited to see how that plays out though. Now I'm going to have to take, 2 roads, 1 journey. Unfortunately, there is no easy answer. You'll need to collect true 1RMs on every lift, collect height and weight, and go off percentages to find a true fittest on earth. So I'm going to paint you guys a mental image here. This is 2 roads, 1 journey. Let me fix this. Okay. This hand right here is 2 roads, 1 journey's anus. And this fist right here is me. Or sorry.
That's just your actual fist.
This fist right here is 2 roads, 1 journey's perception of what fitness is. And right now, this is how it is kind of. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this perception. I'm going to pull it out of his ass to unfuck him entirely. So here's the deal. The thing about finding the fittest on earth is earth doesn't give a fuck about how heavy or how tall or how much you weigh or what gender you are. There is a set task, and whichever human being can complete the set tasks that life has required of them most efficiently, most effectively, fastest, with the most weight, etc., across the board is the fittest. And it has nothing to do with the, I would say dependent variables of like the person's height, weight, age, gender, and it has entirely to do with the independent variable of what the actual test is. So you don't adjust the test based on the person. You give a set of tests or a given set of tests, and you say, hey, whoever can accomplish these 10 feats as fast as possible at this weight for these amount of reps at these distances is the fittest on earth. And it doesn't matter what gender, height, weight, or age they are. It could be a 50-year-old fucking woman. And if she can beat every other human on earth, she's the fittest on earth. So you don't adjust things to find a true fittest on earth. You don't adjust the division to meet the test. You set the test, and whoever can do it is the fittest. I think I'm not sure if I'm articulating that as well as I could possibly.
I agree. And well, I mean, it's just true. It's right. So you don't even have to agree
well,
with it.
I have to, two rows from Journey to LOL. I think Andy stayed with them at the games. They took an RV.
Yeah.
Love you, dude. It was nice to meet you at CrossFit Charlotte. I don't know if I'm articulating that though as best as I can. Like
I think you are. I mean, it's the most, whoever has the most work capacity across broad time modal domains. It doesn't matter, what body type allows you to do that or whatever, or, oh, Fikowski's really tall, so he should have to do less here, more here, whatever. It doesn't matter. All we're trying to find is who can do the most work.
Right.
And it doesn't matter what vessel that comes
right.
from. It could come from like an overweight, like Taylor said, come from a 50-year-old lady, could come from an overweight 10-year-old kid.
It could come from a midget.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter, but whoever can do it should be able to do it, which I also think is another point into not scaling for the women, especially in terms of like reps on gymnastic stuff. Even if it is harder for them, we should still test the same way and let them, basically develop and rise to the occasion almost over the course of a couple of years, obviously. But if we're saying, hey, for the men, you have to be able to do 3 legless in a row every round, and whoever is the best at this is the fittest, but then we make it 1 or 2 for the women. And it's like, okay, so do we value this less just because they're bad at them? Like, we should be testing it the exact same way. And whoever's the best at legless does the best in that workout the same way that we were trying to figure that out for the men.
Yep. I think the tough part about this is you think about weightlifting exercises and monostructural exercises, and those are the easiest. You set a distance, you set a number of calories, you set a load, and you set an amount of reps, and boom, you just have to accomplish it. It's much tougher with gymnastic exercises because depending on your anthropometrics, there's going to be a different range of motion. But if you try to standardize a range
there's a
of
different
motion,
range of motion with weightlifting movements too.
Right, but it's the same load. I'm just saying it's harder with gymnastics. Well, I guess, with gymnastics, it's a different load based on body weight. But if you were to say, hey, we're going to try to make this rep for Fikowski and Colton Mertens exactly the same, you're going to set a height or a distance traveled for an air squat. It's just like hip crease below the knee is the full range of motion is the joint, and that's how you have to measure it. I also think the thing about CrossFit and what makes it so cool is it's almost the closest sport there is to Darwinism and the theory of survival of the fittest, where it's like, hey, life has set this objective. The world has set this objective. It does not matter how it gets accomplished. It does not matter it does not matter by who it gets accomplished. You just have to accomplish the task. And whoever can accomplish the task best is the fittest. I think that's cool. And I will agree. I 100% agree with Colt here. He says, Colt Powers, what's cool to me is how equally entertaining it is to watch the men and women compete at the games. Can't be said about most other sports. And I would agree. There is no other sport on earth where I'm like interested in the female competition at all. It's the games. And there's no other fucking sport on earth where women are paid the same as the men.
Yeah.
There is no other sport. Look at the WNBA. They're all crying like fucking pansies because they want the same pay. Hey, no one watches you.
Yeah, and it's not a coincidence that the one sport where they are paid the same is the one where it's also equally entertaining to watch both.
Right. That's cool. There were some other comments here.
And I agree with you.
This is a good comment.
I agree with you that comment about, weighing everyone and finding their range of motion stuff is wrong. But that is a little bit, like to his point, that's a little bit what we're doing with the women. They're worse at gymnastics, so we make the legless less.
Right.
They're weaker, so we make it 95-65 and 135-95. So I don't know. Maybe we just
but that goes back to why it cannot be said that any women are fitter than men, because they do a scale version.
Yeah.
And if the women, that's why you said, hey, if everyone completes the same test at the same weights, the same distances, the same reps, that's the fittest on earth. And if a female could beat Matt Fraser, she's fucking fitter.
And she should be there.
Right,
yeah,
exactly. Emily says equality equals the same standards for everyone. Equity equals scaling for people depending on dependent variables.
And when we're talking about the women being as entertaining, then it's done the right way. And scaling.
But I still think the women would be just as entertaining at the same weights and loads as men. They would just go a lot slower. Or I mean, like, hey, if you put the 40 fittest women on earth at the games, and you had them you took those 40 fittest women and they did the men's weights on these semifinal workouts, any fucking person on earth would be fucking jaw to the floor watching them do it. You just wouldn't want to watch them in comparison to the men. So it's nice to be able to compare to the men, and that's, I think, why they scale the reps and the weights, etc. But just in and of themselves, like fucking Tia could 100% squat 275 in that workout, which she wouldn't get anywhere near as many reps.
Right.
But it still would be like, holy fuck. Hey,
what do you guys think? What do you guys think about this workout? So 3 rounds for time, 400-meter run, 21:15.9 clean and jerk. All right, that's one workout. The men's weight is going to be 135.
I mean, unfuck everybody. What he means by that is round 1, 421, round 2, 415, round 3, 409. Okay.
Yeah. The men's weight on that in my head is 135. Okay, that's one workout. All right. Now, the other workout is 21:15.9, bar muscle up, clean and jerk at the same for the men. Now, take those 2 workouts and prescribe the loading for the females for both. It's 135 for men for both workouts, but what is it for women for both?
I mean, I know the answer that you're fishing for. I still think it should be 95 pounds on both.
I think it should be 105 pounds on both.
I think it should be 105 on the run workout, but I think it could be 95 on the bar muscle.
That's probably true.
But it's interesting. Like that's a whole other conversation too. Actually, TTT did a podcast on, I think like Mia and maybe one of the other coaches was like, I mean, it was actually pretty good. It was years ago. It was like, hey, when we write workouts, do we always write them for the men and then decide what the women's is? Or do we ever write the workout for a female and then decide what the men's is going to be?
We write them for the best and scale for the rest.
Right. It's written for the best, scale for the rest. But I want to know what Dave's answer would be. Well, when you're saying, hey, write the workout.
I always write it for guys first and then figure out what the females.
But this is also where I disagree with like saying that it should be lighter on the bar muscle up workout is kind of to the same point. It's like, okay, women are worse at bar muscle ups, but I wouldn't change that workout for a guy who's just bad at bar muscle ups,
right? Or
like the bad at the combination. Like, oh, this guy's not as good at bar muscle ups, so his pressing and pulling is going to be a little bit more tired on the clean and jerks. It's going to affect them. I wouldn't change the weight. You just keep it the same, and then he loses to a guy who is better at bar muscle ups.
Right. Yeah. 2 roads, 1 journey. My head is out of my anus. Taylor, thanks for the analogy. See you at NorCal, bro. Also, we're hosting, me and Bryson. I don't think he knows this, but Concept 2 is going to be a vendor at NorCal, and they're going to be a bit understaffed. So they're allowing 2 level 3 trainers to host their rowing clinics. And that's going to be me and you. And we have freedom to teach the clinics however we want. So if you guys want to come get a ass-pounding row workout, we're just going to have a lot of fun. We'll teach a little bit of rowing. We'll probably play the row fish game as a warm-up, teach rowing mechanics really briefly, and then ass-pound you guys with a great workout that leaves you feeling invigorated and fit.
You think they'll have a strength erg there? I hope so.
Dude, if they have the strength erg, cool. I'm going to fucking explode all over myself.
That'd be really cool.
I also have been trying to get a belt squat. And I also been trying to put walls in the barn, and now I'm trying to get a
belt squat would be so sick.
I'm trying to get me and Lizzie want to build a camper van.
Build one.
Cool. Yeah. Like just get like a Mercedes Sprinter van or like a Ram Pro Max van and take it. I mean, dude, if you buy one, they're crazy expensive. And I just think that we could do what we wanted for way cheaper. It would just take time. I don't know. And we like vacations like that. It'd be really cool to just take the dogs wherever we want.
Yeah. Cool. What did you guys, where do you guys stand more oftentimes than not on these 2 things? Box heights and then the movement of a wall ball shot. We can talk about the weight and we can talk about the height. Generally, how do you guys program those? Do you program, and let's say for the box, we're talking about a step up or a step over, not a jump.
For a step up and a step, I don't know why I do this, but I think it's because you don't have to extend the hips and knees at the top of a step over. I keep step overs to 24 inches and I program them at 20 for women. But when we're doing step ups, I program them at 20 inches. And I used to program them at 24 or 20, but since the quarterfinal workout standardized it kind of as 20 across, that's what I do. Wall balls, depending on the volume. If it's really high volume, I do weight and height adjustment. So like 14 to 9 foot versus 20 to 10. If it's not that high volume or the chunks aren't crazy big, I go same height, different load.
And that's for competitors or that's for like 60 track or both?
Everyone. Both. Yeah.
We've done it a couple times even before quarterfinals where we do 20 inches on step ups for guys and girls. But before quarterfinals, it was like a really big talking point. We would have to talk about it for a few minutes to like really make sure that that's what we want. And then after quarterfinals, it's like unspoken. That's just how we write it.
Hey, Pedro, shut the fuck up. I said there are 5 men on earth who could beat her. Colton's one of them. So you take that fucking big mean R word and that gay ass fucking singlet you're wearing, take your wiener, shake it up a little bit, and choke on it. Anyways. Oh, Taylor is on the Craig Ritchie arc, just 5 years behind with the Vanville. Fuck you, dude. Hey, you know what Craig Ritchie would say to you right now? That's a good comment now, legend. And you know what I say? Fuck you, Travis. And that's why we're different. And I'm not on the Craig Ritchie arc, you dick. Did he do a van build? Okay, fuck a camper van. I don't want one anymore. We're going to buy a fucking gun, and I'm going to fucking go find Travis. Just kidding. Sorry, I shouldn't fucking say that on the internet.
So I think for competitors, when you talk about wall ball specifically, like let's say a semifinals level.
Oh God. Sorry, dude. Don't be mad, dude. That's crazy. That was crazy funny. Holy shit.
I don't discriminate against
bolt-ons.
Not at all. I think for like if you took Morgan, your athlete, and then take Mason, right? Just take those two are the avatar. They're both really fit. They're both semifinals level athletes. I think that scaling the height usually doesn't work unless the workout is like 13.3. So they do 150 and then they do 90 and they do 30. So they're both doing 30 ring muscle ups. And let's take out of the equation how good Morgan is at ring muscle ups. Let's just say she's just a semifinals level female. Okay. In that scenario, I think going to 9 is okay. I do. Yeah. Because I think it's used. However, or like if it was a heavy wall ball, I think going 30 to a 10 and 20 to a 9 is usually much more appropriate. Usually.
Right.
But if the workout is like 15 reps or less, I don't ever think they should not go to a 10, and it should be 20 and 14 to a 10, period.
Agreed. Yep. I agree 100%.
So I don't think that we should double scale ever. I think it should always be to 10.
Double scale. Yeah, I like that. So
you actually disagree with me and Taylor in that room?
I think if it's 30 and 20, I think they should go to a 10 and a 9. I agree with JR.
I think it should always be to 10 feet, and then they just scale the weight. Because I also think that the weight is scaled enough with the 30 and 20 and 20 and 14 that it's still even a little bit.
But I think what you have to take into account is not only are women generally weaker, but they're also generally shorter or smaller.
Yeah, but I don't think enough to where it's a foot of difference on the wall ball.
Generally, women are probably close to a half a foot or a foot shorter than men. What is the average height? Let me look this up.
At the games level, I don't think that's true, though. I don't think that's true at the games level.
In the CrossFit field, like they're a lot closer than.
Yeah, they're a lot closer at the high world.
No fucking shot. The average height of a fucking guy at the games. This is bullshit, dude. India and Asia fucked us here. It says the average height of women is 5 foot 3.5 inches, and the average height of men is 5'6". Look, fuck off, China, dude. You fucked us here. Let me go to the games average. Is that info anywhere?
I don't think so.
Dude, hey, Barclay, get off your fucking ass, Barclay. Average male.
Don't you think it's probably 5'10" and 5'5"? Don't you think it's probably about 5'10", 5'5"?
I think it's like 5'11" and 5'4". That's 7 inches, bro.
Yeah, I don't think there's that much of a discrepancy.
Dude, that's a lot of inches right there.
No, I'm saying I don't think it's that big of a discrepancy. Oh my God.
Yeah, I think it's probably closer to 5'10" and 5'5". And the same thing with the box. It's obviously not really possible because of the standard boxes that everyone has, but I think 24 and like 22 would be a lot better than 24 and 20. I think 20 is way too low.
22 and 20 would be appropriate.
22 and 20, yeah.
Because think about the fucking hip crease below the knee if you do a 24-inch step up.
Yeah.
Versus a 20, and a women, it's like
24 is so much more demanding for most guys than 20 is for women.
Oh, agreed, 100%.
Yeah, when I'm programming even class workouts, I program the same box height for jumps a lot, like 24, 24, or even 30, 30. Just because I watch people on like let's say a high box jump workout. So this week, that one that we did on Tuesday was 36 inches for men, 30 for women. And I made them use a 75-pound dumbbell compared to 100 instead of a 70. And I got a lot of pushback on. I'm like, hey, how much easier does it look for every female to jump over this 30-inch box than it does for the guys to do the 36? Mm-hmm. So because of that, I think your dumbbell needs to be a little bit heavier. Like, yeah, I think it's okay to do it specifically to the workout. And to Bryson's point, before I forget about the wall ball, why don't they use a 16-pound med ball? 14 is so much easier than a 20.
Right. It's just a standardized weight now that most people have, and that's probably why they don't want to change it.
Which is also the same argument for the boxes, because everybody's box is 30, 24, 20.
Yeah.
So I get it, but also think about how much easier. The worst case scenario is 30 for guys and 24 for women. That is so much easier for the women. It's a complete joke. And I think it was maybe in the Masters semifinals a couple years ago, like 3 or 4 years ago, but they had that snatch and burpee box jump over workout, and it was 30 for men and women, and I thought that was perfect.
JR, I want you to field this question just because I'm curious what your response is, because you don't know Bryson as well as I do. TK, I don't mean this in an offensive way, but where does Bryson's credibility as a programmer come from?
It comes from these shows and what he's able to speak to and what he's able to write. I mean, I think that's the only way you earn any respect about I don't even want to call it an expert because I think that's silly, but like I think the only way you earn respect, using the same word in the description, as a respected whatever, is by like proving it. And I think he's spoken on it enough to where I consider him a respected programmer for sure.
I would say the thing that was most appealing to Bryson for me when he moved here is I could tell that, one, he was incredibly obsessed with CrossFit, but also a smart enough individual to have discussions and maybe debates on topics and also back them up. But I think to me, where you get the most credibility on anything is kind of like the proof is in the pudding, like you said, like you prove it. You prove that you're effective. You prove that you can learn. You prove that you want to learn. But yeah, that's what I would say. This is Travis Brault's he's very intelligent and passionate. But also like he wants to learn from people, and not that I'm some crazy person to learn from, but he loves to learn from Andy working with me. He loves to learn from me also with JR. I mean, I feel like I earned all of my, not that I even have credibility, but everything I've learned from is from like, you know, Jeff and Maggie Tincher programming and a guy named Craig Furnison, who ran CrossFit Fairfax as a programmer and was really, really great at programming, and learned from watching other people and learned from Andy Hendel and all these level fours that my coach, John Main, JR, learning from other people who are very good at what they do and taking the best elements of those other people and kind of creating what you believe is best, I think is how people earn credibility. But more than anything, what Travis said, he's young and his heart's on fire and he's passionate about it. And people who have that fucking fire and passion get good at things. And, you know, anyways, that's to answer your question. I hired a retard right before Bryson worked for me, and his name was Brian Friend. And, you know, I was not going to fucking work with anyone else. And then Bryson moved here, and immediately I knew, I was like, damn, like I'm pretty lucky. So I want to work with him. Exactly. The best people don't pretend they know everything and constantly try to learn and grow. Hundo P. Although Bryson will not admit when he's wrong. Well, just
I think presently it's a little bit frowned upon, or it's a little bit outdated to like do things like, oh yeah, man, I was just on main site and like looking at 2007 programming, or hey, I went back and looked at the games programming and tried to figure out how it would kind of tweak these to make them hold up as tests. Hey, let's look back at all these workouts. Like, I think the coolest thing would be to just find all these workouts that still hold up over the course of the years at the games, and you don't have to change anything about them. And that was like a test 20 or 30 years later. Like, I think the only way that you can truly continue to improve, because I'm a firm believer you don't stay the same at anything. Fitness, programming, anything. You either get worse or you get better. You don't stay the same.
Right.
Not in,
Yeah,
you know,
I
think it's good to I think it's good to consume as much information as you can, whether you're reading it, whether you're listening to it. And a lot of times you're going to hear things that you don't agree with, and that's good. A lot of times you're going to hear things that make you realize you may have been wrong on things, which is also good.
Right. I believe that so much. You have to look around and see what other people are doing, because you're not fucking God. You're not this higher power, greater thing that's always going to be best. And you're going to see things that other people do that are unique and creative and fun. You're like, oh shit, here's how I could incorporate that or whatever. And I think when you do that, you need to give those people credit. And I do that on Sentinel. Like, if I take a workout from somebody, I'll say courtesy of, etc.
Well, you also, you have to be willing to look around and find stuff. But I think also being able to have your own opinion on it and know why, even if it is something that you see and you don't like, you have to know why you don't like it. Or if it's, being objective and seeing something from somebody you don't like or a group you don't like, and still being like, hey, I like that. And that's really cool. And I wouldn't have thought of that.
Right. Well, so here's an example. Yesterday, me and Bryson were working on programming, and we were looking for a second exercise to pair with handstand push-ups for a 60 workout. And we didn't have running in the weekend. I was like, running. And then immediately when I said, I was like, I hate running and handstand push-ups, and Bryson goes, I do too. And for the same reason, we both feel like the movements are too complementary. Like, there's not enough interference to create great intensity. Running is too purely metabolic and doesn't affect your upper body at all. And handstand push-ups are almost all muscular and only affect your upper body. It's like, it's just not my favorite. But that was, an interesting example. Maris says here, oh, Taylor just thought Bryson was cute. That's not true. I would say if I think someone's cute, I'd want to marry them, and that's Lizzie. But Bryson, I just thought was, I thought his fucking asshole would make a good meat wallet for my dick.
Hey, so going back to that workout, since you guys both hated it, did that make you want to program it, or did it make you not want to?
We changed it. It's fun. We'll do a farmer carry variation.
Sometimes what you're saying, JR, will make me want to program it, but I think because we had such a specific reason for it, and it wasn't just like I just don't like it.
It was like the intensity is it's gonna be like, it's not gonna be a great workout, and that's why I thought we shouldn't do it.
If it's a thing where it's I just don't like it, then it makes me want to program it and figure out why. But with that, when we already had a reason and it was very pinpoint and it wasn't just a feeling, we were both just like, okay, we're not doing that.
I think it's really ironic that we were talking about Muscle Up Biathlon, and that's such an iconic workout, and it really fits exactly what you guys are talking about. The only difference is it was a mandated unbroken thing. So if you were to take that workout and be like, let's do handstand push-ups and running, but let's make them go unbroken, then would you like it, or would you just
or set a pace on the run, 400 meter run sub 130, 15 strict handstand push-ups unbroken, 5 rounds for time? That's a cool workout. I don't know that I would write something like that for 60. I feel like I would write something like that for compete. You just have too much of a variance in capacity.
Especially with a strict movement like strict handstand push-ups, it is all muscular. Once you start kipping and getting your whole body involved, the reps become easier, but it becomes more of like a heart rate and metabolic thing. And then I can see pairing them together because there is some interference.
Jake Chapman says the people with the least Instagram presence are the best people in the game. I agree to a certain extent, except when I would say I'm the exception.
What, like you have a big Instagram presence?
I feel like I do. I don't know. Maybe I know. I'm on it a bit, but I also don't post myself a lot.
I also feel like you do, but we also are our own little bubble, even within the little bubble of CrossFit.
Hey, I want to come on your fucking show, asshole. So maybe send me a text so we can do that. What else? Oh, Ty, I always check Selfmade and use it for my one-on-one clients, and that's how I know you are full of shit, because that's not even the name of the program anymore, you fuck. Do you frown on gyms who utilize programs such as, oh shit, we got to get off.
Yeah, I just thought of that.
Yes, kind of. Yes, kind of. Yeah. All right. Love you, dude. We got to go. Lizzie's got a meeting in here.
Way and 7 on Friday go live.
Oh, all right. Deuces. Oh, he just